April minutes.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes as sent.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. Do we have to vote with ayes?
Yeah. First, you need to ask if there's any further discussion.
Oh, any further discussion?
Nothing here from community.
No.
No.
Okay,
Yep, and now you would ask for a vote.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Marie, did you want to talk about the insurance renewals?
Yes, I think I've met everybody, so, but if not, or you don't remember, I work in the selectman's office. I'm Amy's assistant, and I also handle all of HR. And part of that involves the insurance renewals every year. So we have packets ready for you guys, and I just wanted to go over what is included this time. And we're hoping every year we get a little bit better so that things are easier for you. So basically there's a number of different sections, but we've tried to lay it out pretty clearly so that some of it's general information on how many volunteers, how many calls, that sort of stuff. We've highlighted areas. I don't know if you'll be able to see that, probably not, but we're highlighting areas that you need to take a look at. So we also have a section that's on the property that you have, the actual physical property that you have. There are questions on crime, which basically is about you have 2 signatures on the checks, that sort of thing. And then the portable equipment, if you have boats, inflatables, if you have drones, all of that needs to be covered. And then probably the section that can be most tedious is the part of the schedule of vehicles. We're providing for you the list from last year, and we've highlighted the items that are yours. And what we need you to do is to go through them. There's actually the list from last year, and then there's another set where you can check off delete. And there's a space to add anything. This is sort of a critical piece. Amy and I sat down and talked about it. Neither of us really want to do it, but last year we incurred some expenses because vehicles were not listed at the initial, on the initial run through, and we have to pay additionally for those. And Amy feels it would be appropriate, and I agree with her that if that were to happen, that fee is going to be passed along to the station and that neglected to include that information. I could pass along any feedback that you have back to Amy, but we will, we're not really sure how to deal with it when it continues to happen.
Murray, this is John with Community.
Yep.
You said that you'll have this packet for us. Is this something that we'll getting fairly shortly?
It's all ready.
It's
Yep.
all okay.
It can be
All right.
picked up, or we can mail it to you, whatever you'd like. I'm going to write down tonight who wants what.
All right. I'll pick it up at the town hall then, Murray.
Okay. How about,
Marie, how often are you at the town hall?
I'm there right now, Monday through Thursday,
Until what time?
4, but I'll stay if somebody needs to come later.
Okay, I'll pick mine up Tuesday.
Okay.
Is it available tomorrow?
No, it's not.
It won't
I'm
be.
sorry.
Okay.
We're actually closed on Fridays right now because we do sanitizing for the most part on Fridays, so we keep everybody out of the building.
Is that a Christmas thing?
A what?
Oh, nothing.
Was that a joke that I didn't get? All righty, so Kyle's Tuesday, Mr. Wiseacre, Steve, when do you want?
I'll
do you want
pick it
to-
up. I'll give you a call next week. I'll just come in and pick it up.
That's fine. Yep.
All right.
And who's left? Matt.
I'll have to have it sent.
You'd like to have it mailed?
Yes, please.
Okay. And what we're hoping is with all the preparation that we've done, that it's going to be a pretty quick zip, zip, zip through this. You know your vehicles, you know what you own. I'm not as concerned about the VIN number. You don't have to worry about the agreed value at this point. It's really, do we own it or don't we? And then the second piece of that is that we need you to confirm whether or not you still have loans out on any of these or lease amounts that are still out there. So we're giving you the page that has what we have. and you just need to make any corrections for your station.
Okay.
All right? And then,
Maria, I do have one question.
yeah,
If we purchase a vehicle, do we have to incur that cost of adding the vehicle?
no.
Okay.
No, it will only be for vehicles that have not been submitted anything purchased after, I would say after July 1st, because hopefully you would notify me by July 1st.
Oh, we're not purchasing anything anytime soon. I just figured.
Right. Right. Yep, so we're gonna set a due date of June 15th, which, because you guys know who your people are, you know the vehicles, I'm hoping it'll just take a brief time for a couple of people to do that, but if anything comes up, let me know. We're gonna be meeting with the insurance folks at the end of that, let's see, by the 15th. Yeah, we're meeting them on the 18th, I think, so we wanna be able to provide everything to them at that point as completely as we can.
Okay.
All right, and then there's some information, I don't know if you've received this in the past about whether you have liquor sales at your place, how they're held, do you allow people to bring their own? Do you have carnivals? Do you use fireworks? Any rent halls? So that's another section. And then,
Can we use fireworks?
no, no, we don't want you to.
Oh,
And then the other thing, there's a section on how many people you have, volunteers, which we can fill out for you if we get your list. But yeah, there's information on population or administrative personnel. Do you have an ambulance? So those are all questions that are actually filled in already from last time. So you just need to make corrections as something's changed. Kelly reached out to who is it? 911? No, not 911. Yeah, the call center.
UV.
Yeah.
Dispatch, yeah. And
Yep.
they actually sent us a handy dandy list for every single station of how many EMS, fire, and other calls you had. So we're gonna send that along. If you have numbers that differ from that, just let us know and we'll put your numbers in, okay? So I actually do need, you remember who's not here? Because, yeah, thank you all for sending your rosters in. We've got everybody's except one. And that's terrific because we can get moving right on that piece now. And so basically it's the equipment, personnel, loans, and just confirming all that sort of stuff. Christine, can I reserve the opportunity to come back into the meeting once our final member is here to review that with him?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all I have. If you have any questions, you know you can find me in the selectman's office. I'll do anything I can to help. All righty. Thanks.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Marie.
thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is the steps for the Thompson Fire Protection Association. Did you guys have the department members vote in favor of it?
Yes.
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 Okay,
No, we haven't met.
you haven't met yet?
No.
Okay. How do you guys, are you planning on, do you do any Zoom stuff or just not right now?
I have so many people. Well, I mean, it would probably be better if I just polled people. And that's
Okay.
probably what I'm going to do. I just haven't gotten to everyone yet.
Yeah, it's hard. This is just weird times.
And, you know, the time, I mean, it's like people are asking, okay, what is this again? You know, and it's a half-hour explanation. And, but yeah, I'm working on that.
Okay.
Christine, did we, again, John Sharp from Community, did we had talked or mentioned something about having it documented from each station? Is that something we still want to do as well? Stating that it was brought up at a meeting. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know if that's something that we need to do as well.
I know we had talked about it and I thought we were in favor of it.
Okay.
What does everyone think?
Yeah, we had discussed having one form letter basically so that everybody said the exact same thing.
Right, yeah.
And I don't remember, one of the stations already had one, and we were gonna try to use that one. I don't remember which, somebody was already working on that.
Sure.
Not sure of that.
Jeff, you want to grab the hat or no?
I got one right here. I just took it off, actually. I'm desperate need of these barber shops, so.
Oh, me too. I know it.
Hi, Jeff.
How we doing?
Good, how are you?
Not bad.
Okay, did anybody else have anything to say about the fire department member votes?
Well, I think it's a good idea, but I mean, if somebody had mentioned the fact that they were gonna make like a master sheet, I mean, that might be the easiest and most simplistic way.
Okay.
I mean, I guess it just has to be the verbiage for like a universal verbiage. Is that what everybody was thinking? Just to state that it was approved at each
Right. Yeah.
monthly
So we're all-
meeting,
So we're all signing the same thing, right?
right? Okay. I mean, if people want, I can work on that over the next couple weeks or so and then have it for the next meeting so that we can get it out to each department if you want.
Okay, that's great.
That'd be great, John, thanks.
Okay.
Have you guys had any ideas about who you want for the association? Any people you know, lawyers, accountants? Is there, what are your guys' thoughts on how you're gonna come up with members?
Ask for volunteers. I mean, I don't know of any other way. Try to explain what this is and, I mean, we're not going to have people beating the door down to be on this committee, I don't think, but,
That's true.
you know, we want people that are going to be, that want to be busy with this and want to make this thing fly.
True.
Yeah, this isn't really something we want to assign to someone. You have to be vested in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Matt, you had someone that weren't you talking about, Frank?
Yeah, Bill Steglitz, I was trying to, well, I'll see about Frank also, but Bill Steglitz, I'm trying to rope into it,
Yeah.
as from an accounting side.
Roping is different from assigning, right?
Completely.
Yes.
Yeah.
You just try to make them feel guilty instead of, it's still their idea.
Yeah.
You know, some of my thoughts were possibly somebody like Ray Fosher Jr.
Yeah.
Who's been very instrumental in the town as it is. He's been on the Board of Finance and so forth. You know, as a financial person who's well versed in how the town functions, it may be a good possibility to have on there, and can certainly try to make some connections there. The other one that I had thought about was also Doug Williams, being on the legal side and also being a town resident too. That may be, but again, I want to throw that out there before making any contacts with either one of them to see how the rest of you all feel about possibly having them on the board.
Yeah, I mean, either one of those guys, you know, I still feel like the Board of Finance misses Ray,
Right.
you know,
Right.
so he'd be a great guy to have on there, and you know, he knows what we're all about, you know.
Right.
He's a good
Definitely
advocate for us. Yeah.
Definitely well versed in the town and how they operate. So I mean, that may be a plus on our side.
Right.
And then again, the thought of Doug Williams, Doug Williams, being that he is, obviously he's got the lawyer background, he's got the, and again, still being a Thompson resident, that may be advantageous for us, especially when it comes to paperwork or legal issues that we may have to come across. But those two just kind of have been circulating around, you know, for myself as far as who may be good, but again, I wanted to bring that out to the rest of you all to see how you all felt about doing that as well.
That sounds
Have no
good. Paul Beer's
objections.
not around.
Does everybody love these Zoom meetings as much as I do? I really, really hate them. I think we need to get back to regular meetings.
Yeah.
Yes.
At work, I love them. I'd rather everybody stay away.
Yeah, right.
All right, I'll work on those two to see if we can get some sort of input, or see if there's any interest in possibly having them come aboard and working with us on this project.
Do we also, I mean, do we also want to come up with maybe a form letter on that one to send to Perspective so that everybody's kind of soliciting the same way, same message?
Right, that may be helpful too.
So maybe if you're, if you had already had those guys in mind and you were thinking about drafting a letter to them or talking to them, maybe you want to formalize it a little bit.
Okay, I'll work on that as well. See what I can come up with some sort of formal letter that we can all use to put out to prospective personnel.
Just so it's one voice.
Yeah.
Any other comments on that? Okay. So for June, each department should create a new bylaw to be part of the Thompson Fire Protection Association. Does that sound doable?
What are you getting at, Christine? Sorry.
So, and I got this from my list of Kim's next steps. It was for June that, because I know we just did the bylaws and we're going to review them again later, but that each department has to create a new bylaw as part of their bylaws to be part of the Thompson Fire Protection Association. Does that sound familiar at all?
I think it was a matter of reviewing how we all would adopt the Thompson Fire Protection Association into our bylaws as the governing body, so to speak.
Hmm.
Okay.
I think that's going to be a little bit difficult until we get our bylaws down pat.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep, that makes sense.
And we adopt bylaws yearly.
Yearly.
So we adopt bylaws at our annual meeting in January. So
Oh, okay.
So
Okay, so that's down the road. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
and not to say that we won't participate for another 6 months, but I mean, we will put it in, but it won't get adopted until it's voted on at the annual meeting and approved.
Okay. The next thing, I found out the prices for the PO box. In Quinnebog, they don't have very big sizes. Their biggest size that they have available is a 5-inch by 5.5 inch. And for a year, it's $92.
Are we nonprofit?
I don't know how that, I wasn't able to get somebody on the phone. I had to do it through online, and it didn't show different options, but I
Yeah.
can look more into it.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you go to the Quinnebog post office, the guy's not he's just a peach, you know.
I heard he wasn't very nice, and that's what made me not want to go down
He really
there.
isn't. You're right. And I'm not really sure who his manager is. It may be the North Groenendale post office, which I heard that's who it is.
Okay.
So if you might get the information from there, and then it'll be the same for the Quinnebog.
Okay. So talk to them and go through. Okay. I'll do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I believe it's same thing. Like the North Groenendale office is kind of like the main, and then the other,
It is.
there's a couple of post or subsidiary posts. There, you can talk to the wall and get better results at the smaller ones. The one in downtown, I think, is going to be the best option.
Okay.
They're pretty helpful in there. my aunt works at the post office in Putnam. I don't know that it'll help. I can check in with her and see if she has any information or who to contact if you need that.
Okay,
But I
I'll
think-
try North Grosvenor, and see, they should have an answer for me, hopefully.
I know, Christine, that we at Community have a post office box for all our mailings,
Oh,
and we
okay.
don't ever get a bill on it. But
Oh,
again,
okay.
that's, I think it's because of the fact that the location that we're in, it's not a real route, so that we can't have a post office, or we can't have a mailbox. So that
Okay.
may be why. But again, I think as nonprofit organizations, I think we may be exempt too. But
Okay.
that's something to
It's
check
just,
into.
it's just paperwork.
Correct.
Okay,
I get to fill out paper yearly just to make sure that we're still an organization
Right,
as far as the post office knows, yeah.
right.
okay, I'll check into that. Any other thoughts or comments about the Thompson Fire Protection Association? Any coming up steps? Okay, so under other info, do you want to start with the bylaw review? Did everybody have a chance to look at them?
Marie's here. Can she just talk with Jeff and
Oh,
then we can,
yes.
yeah, she's muted.
There I go.
Okay.
Hi. Hey, Jeff.
Hi.
The others are going to hear this a second time, so this is for you. We're coming up on our insurance renewal, and we need to gather information from all the stations for that renewal. So we put packets together for each department, and the paperwork covers how many volunteers you have. It covers your buildings and grounds sorts of stuff. It covers the equipment that you have, if you have portable equipment. And basically on each of these pages, we've put in highlights, what it is that we need you to take a look at. One of the biggest things on this is going to be the vehicles. We're giving you what we had from last year, what we had submitted. So there may be vehicles that you're missing that'll have to be added. And we need you to take a look and also see if there's anything that should be removed. In addition to that, the same thing with vehicles is if some of them may have loans on them or they may be leased, we need you to check that information out and let us know if anything's changed, if you've paid off the loan or you've gotten rid of the vehicle.
I wish.
So Amy and I were talking about this, and she is behind something new that's going to happen with the vehicle, letting us know about vehicles. We had a couple of situations where people did not give us complete lists, and what ended up happening is that we had to pay additional money to add on vehicles that should have been on in the first place, which is why we need you to take a real close look at what we're giving you in that area. I mean, some of the others we can pretend, but we've highlighted the vehicles we know are yours.
Okay.
Okay, so you can still take a quick look. We're not concerned about VIN numbers. Right now, we're just trying to make sure that we've covered every vehicle. And then we also have, there's a section on whether or not you serve alcohol at any time, fireworks, which Kyle was really interested in, I think. And then in addition to that, they're looking for information on the dispatch stuff. And dispatch has provided us with EMS calls, fire, and other calls for each of the stations. So we're going to send that along to you as well. And if you have different numbers, put them on that sheet and we'll switch them over to what you have. And then finally, I know.
So as far as fireworks would go, is that you're talking from our department specifically, or?
Right. If you're overseeing a fireworks display of some sort.
So we do oversee Speedway fireworks when they have, I typically sign off on, I believe, 3 or 4 events. I mean, obviously with this year, I haven't seen any thus far. But there's 3 or 4 of the tour races that they do have a small fireworks display.
Actually, it looks like that's not going to pertain to this.
Okay, that's what I was trying to clarify, because it's through them. I just sign off as
Right.
an approving officer. We're not actually hosting it ourselves.
Okay. Yep. So, and that is what the question is do you host them? How
Okay.
many days annually? I guess people do a lot of fireworks, some places. Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, so we're looking for a complete listing of everything we have. We're giving you what we have from last year. There may have been things that were added on after the fact that are not going to be in this list that you're being given. So you just need to take a look and add them. If perchance we get these back and in a month you say, oh, I left this off. Every time that happens, we have to pay an additional fee to the insurance company. And Amy has approved passing that fee along to the fire department. So
That's fabulous.
well, hopefully everything's highlighted and all you're doing is yep. And we'll go from there.
So if there's anything additionally listed, do we get a check back?
No,
Oh, okay.
if there's
Okay, just
what do you mean if
checking,
there's-
making sure, seeing if it went both ways.
what do you mean if anything extra is listed?
Well, I mean, for several years, we had a tanker that was listed that we tried removing 4 times and it never
Wow.
seemed to get removed.
Right.
So
Uh-huh,
that wasn't on us, but,
right.
we turn over the appropriate paperwork, and same thing with our roster. It's turned in every time that we do the tax abatement list. You get a full roster of everybody who's current on the department. So I think we're up to date, but I'll definitely take a look at what you have there.
All right, so I will make a note for that roster from abatement. So everybody's on there, even people that are not getting the abatement. Is that correct on your list?
I give 100% roster count. My obligation was to turn over who's eligible. I don't know who takes advantage of the abatement or not. For some, it's not worth their time and effort. We have a lot of members that reside outside of the town that aren't eligible per se tax base, but are eligible for other things. But yeah, that list is current as of when I turned over the abatement list.
Okay, so that does include every single member, and you tag the ones that get a rebate and the ones that don't are just left alone on that list?
Yeah,
Or
it
you
says
just give
zero.
me a
It
list
says
of
zero
people?
where, so there's a line total on there. It says that there's zero, whether they're, the eligibility is in the breakdown of the columns with the way that my abatement list is turned over.
Okay,
Everybody who's eligible per the criteria is listed on there, and then there's a totals column on the far right.
Right.
And
right. I'm just
um,
trying to understand. So those people that are from up, say you have people from Webster, we know they can't get it, but are they
Correct.
still on that list?
absolutely.
Terrific. I will have Kelly pull that list and we will put that in place of the one that we were hoping to get back. Does anybody have any other questions? Everybody else kind of heard this spiel already. Oh,
Just
I'm sorry.
where do we obtain the paperwork that you have? Do we have to stop at
You
the town
can-
hall?
You can come to the town hall or I can mail it to you. What's your
It'd
preference?
probably just be easier for me to stop in or have somebody stop in and grab it from you.
Okay. Just give us a call. We're there Monday through Thursday from 9 to 4.
Okay,
Okay, at least
So
temporary
tomorrow's out?
for now. We're going to be, pardon me?
so tomorrow's out
Tomorrow's out. Yep.
Ask her why.
and Monday too, right?
Yeah. Yes.
My
And-
2 days off.
I wish I probably will be working tomorrow, but working from home. And then the only other thing is that we're looking at a due date of June 15th, Jeff, because we're meeting later in that week with the insurance folks, and I'd like to be able to turn all the information over to them at that time. We actually have to do some consolidating to provide them with one document that they're looking for. So we'll need to tabulate everything that you folks have. If it's easier for you to scan it and email it to me or fax it to me, I'm open to anything like that. You can, mail it. If you bring it to the North Grosvenor Post Office, they'll probably just pop it right in our box without even needing postage. So however
So
it's easiest for you to get back to us.
I know in years past, when we've been asked to do this for insurance purposes, we've turned over, we do our annual audit through our CPA. We provided that. I mean,
Well,
is
when you
that
go
adequate
through this
as
material,
far as all the assets and it's like a building
that's a good question.
it's all listed on there.
All of your property is listed, all of the vehicles and all of the loans and leases are all listed on that?
Yeah, I'm almost positive, but I will verify that before I do turn it over if it's acceptable. But yeah, it's all.
All right, it's possible that we can do it that way. I'd still like to get this packet to you so that you can at least work on the things that are not part of what that audit that you'd be doing. And we'll go from there. Just give me a call anytime at the office and I'll be happy to, figure out how we can work it out so it's easiest for you guys.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you, Marie.
Thanks, Marie.
Thank
I'm going
you.
to turn it over to you now, Christine.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marie. Have a great night.
Okay, yep. Wrong person, Christine. There you go.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay. So under other info, the bylaw reviews. Matt, you updated the changes from last time?
I hope so. I did send out the copy tonight. But when I had looked back into it to make sure that I took advantage of all of our comments, we had started like 3/4 of last meeting on the wrong bylaws and I was correcting them on the wrong bylaws. So I can't be sure that I captured everything because I had to go back and do them again, kind of go back through them again. So we don't have to go through them with a fine-tooth comb, but we have to give them a good review to make sure we did capture everything that everybody wanted.
Thank you for working on them. Did anybody have a chance to read them? I know it wasn't too long of a time. We can put it on.
I just have a quick question. I just have a quick question for everybody. We had talked about the working on a universal verbiage for trying to get people to come in as the board of directors. Would it be advisable to also send along with that letter a copy of the bylaws so that the prospective members, people could actually look at it and get an idea of where we're going with this and how the format is going to be based? Does that sound appropriate, or do we not want to do that at this point in time?
Well, I think we need to give whoever some information, what they're jumping into, so to speak.
Right.
I
Does
would
that
just
sound
make
like a
sure that
good
everything we
idea?
gave them was a draft copy.
What's that, Matt?
I think the only thing I would just make sure that they receive a draft copy, even though it's,
Right,
make sure it says draft on it. And,
right, right.
which I probably should have that on there as a watermark. I'll change that also so that
Okay,
it has a draft watermark on it. But no, I think that, I'd like to know what I'd be getting into if somebody was
Right.
asking me to do something. So yes.
right. And I think at least if they have a copy of our draft bylaws, they give them a good understanding of where we're trying to go with it anyways.
Any other questions or comments about that? Okay. So we will do the final review next month of the bylaws. Does that sound good?
I would think so. This way we can put it all together and make sure that that portion is behind us.
Okay. And Matt, I also got the IRS code. I'm sorry, the IRS code. And I can email it to you because you had the
Oh, okay.
X's in there. Okay.
Right.
Any other comments or concerns about bylaws? Okay, did everyone get their alt sworn in? Is that still in process?
I believe we did, yes.
I did
Okay.
not. Matt Grauer, I did not.
Okay.
I would
Do
have
you
to
have a
verify
plan?
with. Go ahead.
No,
I have a
Jeff, you
plan
can.
to do it, yes, but not, not a good plan.
Okay. But you know who you're using?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, so it's just a matter of either going to see Renee or maybe having Kim do it?
correct.
Okay, awesome. Jeff, you were gonna say something?
I'm actually texting Ron right now to ask. I know that he's my alternate. I don't know if he was sworn in. He was, it was supposed to happen at a meeting, and I don't remember if that occurred before we stopped having meetings.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else have any comments or questions about that? Okay, does anybody have any other comments or questions in general?
How about the budget?
The budget.
I figured that should spark some interest. Um, I would like to be able to talk with the Board of Finance. They cut us by whatever they wanted to during COVID-19, where none of us can do any fundraising. So, that dumped, I don't know, a couple thousand out of our pocket anyways. I don't know if they really recognize that that's a thing.
I sat in on the meeting where they were going over the cuts, and I honestly don't think that was a concern at all. They were more focused on making their numbers work. It was a very quick and abrupt non-discussion. Okay, we're going. Everybody, I think everybody was at the 75K mark. And in the blink of an eye, it was 62. And
Right.
it was a unanimous 6-0, 6-0 vote, however they record that. And then they moved on. I mean, there was no room for discussion. The citizens' comments occurred at the beginning of the meeting before they even had the opportunity to know what was coming. But then for the next 30 minutes, sat there and beat up the DPW about some $200,000 truck that, they're going to just let them use other budget money. It was very disheartening after everything that we go through, and we've been down this road several times in the past. You can plead your case and sit there and talk and show them all the numbers in black and white, and at the end of the day, it's a wasted effort. And from what I saw in that meeting,
And it is. But I mean, and Kyle mentioned it's a cut, but in their eyes, it's an increase.
yes,
So
and that was the big thing is they looked at it as, well, you guys are getting a 17 or requesting a 17% increase, and when you look at that percentage number, it's huge.
right.
And obviously
Compared to
I'm
other
grateful
departments.
and I'm grateful for the $7,000 increase. Don't get me wrong, I'm not
Right.
downplaying it. We didn't get cut back to where we were last year, but it was just very disheartening to sit there and, like I said, I mean, it took them about all of 5 minutes to discuss the fire departments.
Right. And my my thoughts on this was, and I understand that, you know, I could use more money than what I could use what I asked for. You know, I could use more than that, but I kind of wanted to be in the same ballpark as the rest of us. But when we had all this information, we went through all this information, we submitted it to the Board of Selectmen, the different Board of Selectmen, Kenny, Steve, and Amy. And they basically, that was a cut, I thought. They didn't really listen to us. None of our information got to the Board of Finance. And then they chose $55,000 for each department. You know, so, you know, I just, you know, I know some people think that this is a cut, but it's not a huge increase, but it's an increase. You know, to go from 55 to 62 when everyone else is taking, you know, I don't want to talk about pay cuts because we all know that we don't get paid, you know? So, I mean, I don't know. I know that amongst our own groups, we call it a cut, but you know, in the town's eyes, it was an increase, you know, and we are doing this whole fire protection advisory, whatever, I forgot what it's called, in order to get better funding. But, you know, I have to give the Board of Selectmen credit for putting forward the 75, you know, it was different from last year. And, you know, maybe they thought that was the best. We all know that there's money out there, but, you know, and we all sit through the budget meetings and listen to them. And we haven't even gotten to the Jim Bellavance and, you know, all of a sudden the last minute, you know, the stupidity that comes out of his mouth sometimes where shut down all 5 departments and make 3 mega fire departments. And, you know, and we haven't heard any of that. It seems like everyone is on board with the fire departments, you know? So, you know, I don't agree. I don't like that we didn't get 75,000, but I'm glad it's not 55.
Absolutely.
You know, I can live with 62 this year and possibly, you know, we just go back and do it again next year.
I guess one of the things that, and I agree, Steve. I mean, at least it's an increase, but
it's a huge. What is it? 13%?
Right.
I mean, that's unheard of. I mean, I don't know.
In a year that they're basically saying that they can't increase anything, we're seeing an increase, and it is significant from years past. I mean, typically we've seen 1,000, maybe 2.
Right.
For them to jump 7 is, and again, like I said, I don't want to sound ungrateful by any means, because it is. I feel more support from the town now than I've ever felt in this position.
Right, and I don't feel like this. I haven't heard one bad thing. The budget's out there.
Yeah.
The increase is out there. I haven't heard one negative thing about the fire departments. It's always the fire department needs the money, need the money. So, you know, maybe the 62 this year, and possibly by the time we come around next budget season, if we can get this whole Woodstock model rolling, then we'll see what happens then, you know? I don't know. I see what they're doing with everyone else. They're not making this shit up, you know? So
I guess one of the other things that kind of, and again, I'm thankful for that at least we got the increase. It's just kind of disheartening that every year we put in our numbers for fixed expenses and capital expenses, and it seems to be, and again, I'd love to be a fly on the wall when every other committee, commission, whatever, goes to sit in front of the selectmen. And, you know, let's say, for example, the rec department puts in a $200,000 budget. Do they get cut 20,000 or something like that? I don't know, but I'm just saying it always seems that, and again, I'm very thankful for what they do for us, because it has increased the last few years very well for us. but it just always seems to be the biggest or the easiest way to cut is cut the fire departments. Now, again, our line item is fairly large compared to others. But the other thing that really kind of gets me is for the last 3 years, the town's been very grateful to give us the worksheets for capital expense. And even though I'm not anticipating, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, it would be nice at least if they would give it some sort of merit to say, okay, each department put in a capital expense report. This is what they truly need for future expenditures. Maybe we can work on that next year, or at least, give us a little bit of a chunk to be able to start putting away towards a truck, putting away towards extra gear, SCBA's, whatever the case may be. But that's one of the things that I find always.
I agree with Matt's comments previously about, what is the Board of Finance looking for? We've created this, we've had this worksheet created for us. And I don't know, I kind of felt that, and I don't think I'm alone, I kind of felt that it wasn't the information that the Board of Finance needed to see.
Right, exactly.
So it's, I don't know, and that's something that.
I think it comes down to only having that 15-minute session, so to speak. I mean, when we actually talk to the Board of Finance, I mean, we sit down for an elongated time with the selectmen and spell it all out in black and white and put the numbers in front of them. And then they go over to the Board of Finance and they drop it down on their desk and say, this is from the fire departments. And then we get invited. And I mean, we were there a couple of times and we got pushed off that first meeting and then the second meeting. And, so yeah, I don't think we spend enough time with the Board of Finance to actually explain what they're looking at. And yeah, I mean, to be crucified when you're showing a $3,000 profit, so in their eyes, whatever, however they want to look at it. And again, the DPW, he's saying that he's got money left over from his sand and salt account because obviously the winter was a dud. So they're letting him take this $200,000 purchase and make it happen. Where if we had $200,000 left over, they'd be like, well, you don't need an increase. They look at us completely different than they do the other departments of the town.
And I
Yeah,
think this year
if we had $200,000, if we had $200,000 left over in the OSHA account, you guarantee that it would.
They'd be snagging it.
Yeah.
And again, I think this is the first year that I remember hearing that the Board of Finance actually got our worksheets that we presented to the selectmen.
Right.
They had never seen them before. So, I mean, how do you justify or how do you make cuts or additions or whatever if you don't know any of the information that you're looking at? So, I mean, I'm thankful that they did that too. But I don't know. It just always seems that every year the first place they look, and I think we all talked about this, was the fire departments is the first place to cut, because it's easy. Well, they put in for 75, we'll cut them down to 62. The gavel comes down and 30 seconds later we're down. Yes, we did get an increase. Don't ever get me wrong when I'm saying that, but it always seems the biggest and the easiest place is, the fire departments. Let's just cut it, whack it, and well, we'll think about it maybe next year.
I can attest. I mean, there were other departments that took the library. So there was $25,000, that $25,000 roof allocation. They pulled that from them this year. So there's other departments that took drastic hits. Some did get increases as minimal or whatever they needed to be. It's a tough year all the way across the board.
The difference on pulling the roof allocation is that the town's going to pay for the roof anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
So when they need a new roof, they're going to pay for it. So
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But I understand it. But I mean,
I guess one of the biggest things.
Agree.
I guess one of the biggest things is the fact that we're independently owned as opposed to a town municipality. So, You know, do they have a lot at stake in this? No. They know that they have to provide emergency services for the town, but it's not like they have any big stake into the emergency services because we are independently owned. So I've heard that that tends to be an issue too. So I don't know.
I guess I really would like to be able to spend a little bit more time with the Board of Finance and find out exactly what it is that they're looking for from us so that we can give them correct documentation so they have the clearer picture of why we requesting what we're requesting.
Oh, you know, I'm really sure that could happen. We get, you know, Steve Herbert, he has a ton of information. I'd like to talk to Rob Wirge. You know, he's phenomenal as far as, you know, the things that he thinks about during, you know, his justification, he wants information, but I mean, you know, maybe these are the guys we need to speak with.
Be careful, because Wurge was the one, they called it the Wurge model that, you know, put all these cuts out this year.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
yeah.
He came up with the method of how to make the presumptive cuts to the different departments, but yeah, he does seem like a good resource or someone to sit down and actually talk with, so that when we do spend the time on the budget and have all of our hearings and meetings and whatnot, they're hearing what we're actually putting out and not just getting handed a packet of paper
Right.
that makes no sense to them.
Right. And, you know, maybe that's another thing that we go about on our own, finding out, you know, okay, the reason you need this information is because blah, 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 you know, and then our presentation is a lot better because it's more pertinent information that they haven't gotten in the past, you know, because none of those people know exactly what it costs to run a fire department. You know, there's just, it's crazy. And you know, they don't have that information. I don't think they had that information. And if they were asking for it, we'd certainly supply it to them.
I guess one of the things that kind of drives me nuts too is, especially with the Board of Finance, you know, if you're going to sit on the Board of Finance and try to critique any sort of emergency services, I personally would want to also look at other municipalities and how they fund fire departments or ambulance services and so forth, and maybe, you know, get some sort of documentation, because again, we're probably the lowest in the area as far as how we're funded. You know, take East Putnam, for example. I think they're just around the $400,000 mark a year. You know, maybe some of these Board of Finance need to look at some of their documentation, look at other municipality documentation and say, well, why are we so low in Thompson as compared to others?
Well, that's a tax base.
And again,
You know, East Putnam has a fire
yeah,
tax.
exactly. Right.
They
And I
also
think
have
the way we're
the
doing with
infrastructure
the-
to support.
Right.
They have the infrastructure to support
Right.
that type of funding, and we don't in the town. So
Yeah.
that
Right.
makes it tough. And we even visited the whole tax or the fire tax option, and
Right.
it's tough without, you know, we don't have a Walmart and a Tractor Supply and a Stop and Shop and all these big commercial buildings that are dropping thousands of dollars into that budget.
Right.
You can't do that to the
Yeah, they got the
residential
industrial part
homeowner
too.
and get the same end result.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a Dollar General, a Dunkin' Donuts, and a gravel pit.
And liquor stores.
Oh, a liquor store, that's right.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, two of them.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Two of
We
them.
got plenty of those pizza places.
Yeah.
We probably have more pizza.
Yeah, true. I mean, we
pizza
don't have a
places
lot
per
of
capita than anyone
industrial.
else.
Yeah.
The industrial,
My whole
that's
take on
where
it is
a
I'm
lot
not
of that
sure we
tax
can-
money comes from.
Sure. My take on it, though, is that with the Board of Finance, I'm not sure there's anything that we can actually do. I don't think they don't believe us, number one. I think they believe we need that 75,
Right.
and it's going to be more eventually if we do if we fund ourselves the way we're supposed to with the Thompson situation. But I think they understand it. They understand also that the Thompson voters, unfortunately, and that's why they did what they did this year with the school and everything else. They know we can't go through 5 referendums and we can't, so I'm not so sure that they don't understand. It's just that they can't, like, what do you say, 17% increase? To get to where we wanted to be, that was
I think with the
30%.
reduction, it's 13.
So,
Yeah, 13, yes.
So, it's, we just got to keep, and I don't want to have, like we talked about before, I don't want to have them asking us questions that we don't have answers for because we weren't prepared because they prepared us for something else. That's the part that really
Right,
annoys
exactly.
me, to make it look like we don't know we don't have the answers, but we gave you the answers you wanted to begin with. That's my biggest beef. They are giving us that increase, which is great. And if they gave us the full one, I think people would freak out even more. Like you said, Steve, nobody freaked out about what we got this year. But if it was a 20% increase, maybe that's too much in one year. Next year, maybe we'll get another 13, and we'll get to where we need to be. But
Right. And
so I mean, I wouldn't
realize
want to
that
be in
Orla
Board of
has a lot
Finance
on her
position
plate.
whatsoever.
right. And I realize that Orla has a lot on her plate, but there's been times where we've been asked, the Board of Finance has made statements. And, I think, Matt, you were the one who said that we gave you the information that we were asked. We supplied that information.
Right.
I thought maybe it would have been okay if Orla had said, I didn't realize that, I actually could have asked for this. If I'd have realized that you guys, meaning the Board of Finance, needed this information, I would have asked the chiefs for that. They would have compiled that information. I thought that maybe if she would have spoken up, I'd feel better about that.
Mhm.
Because
And it actually
we've
did
been
start
asked
at the
to-
Board of
we've been
Selectmen
given the
meeting also, because that's when. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I thought we had a bad connection.
Yeah, it did. It cut out there, and I'm just saying that started out at the Board of Selectmen meeting, because when I was in there presenting my budget, each select person and Steve Herbert asked why I didn't present it this way or present it this way. This would have been a better way to present it. And I don't want that. That's not acceptable to me, that somebody's telling me how I should have presented it when I present it the way you said I should have presented it. And I just don't like being put into that position,
Exactly, right.
and
Right.
that started right at the Board of Selectmen meeting. So, and like you said, and maybe we have to, in the fall, is sit down with Rob Word or whoever and say, what makes sense to you? What numbers do you need? How do you need it portrayed? And see if we can come up with something. I don't know. But I still think, it's the increase we got was probably going to be the best increase we were going to get. And next year, hopefully the same kind of thing. It's, we're going to have to creep into this a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
what did I say? Back in 1990, we were only getting $12,000. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so,
Right.
so I
think maybe
can't,
you're
I
on the
can't
right
fault them
track where-
fully on everything they're doing.
I think you're on the right track, as far as maybe come the fall, we request to sit down with the Board of Finance at one of their meetings, take that format that Orla put together and maybe just critique it ever so lightly at the Board of Finance meeting to see how they, you know, what are they looking for? Are they looking for something different? Are they looking for something exactly the way it is? Or, you know, before we have to go through the whole procedure again, that may be a possibility. If we
Right.
can ever get normal meetings, that is.
Well, I mean, I think we can ask Orla, I said, what is everyone else presenting that we aren't? You know, I didn't hear any Board of
Right.
Finance members picking apart the library, that, you know, you didn't give us this information. You know, she basically spilled her guts and that was it. You know, I don't know. You know I'm not a financial guru. I don't profess to be. But, you know, I want to make sure that, like Matt has said time and time again, when you ask us to give information, that is exactly what we do. We give you that information that you asked for. And then when we're asked something in a meeting,
Right.
and I don't like being unprepared, I'm sure no one else does either. But, you know, I mean, you're not going to come with a complete binder of information that you may need. You know, if this is exactly what they need, then you feel comfortable with it. But, you know, I don't know. Maybe, like, you know, kind of leery about
I
talking.
think one of the big things that I think one of the big hurdles that we all had was the fact that on the financial state or the financial documents that Orla put out, there was a line item for turnout gear. And then on the capital expense, there was another section on there for turnout gear. So I know Steve
Right.
Herbert was one that was, well, do you have all your capital on one? Is there some capital built into your, you know, fixed expense sheets? And it's like, well, yeah, because that's the way you laid it out. So maybe lay it out a little bit differently, and that way there's no confusion.
Well, that's what I said too. When I had the
still-
meeting with the selectman, he was in the back, and he said that, you know, why do you have a figure here for gear? I said, because it was a column. I filled it in. You know, that's all.
Right. And I think we all did the same thing. You know, we're given a blank worksheet that basically is fill in the blanks. What's your phone bill? What's your electric bill? Do you have a mortgage? Whatever the case may be, it's fill in the blanks. But if that's not what somebody's looking for, well, somebody's got to change that format.
Well, right. And then was it 2 years ago? I think Matt and John, you gave them information, or you had a little bit different format over and above what she was asking for. And it was like, okay, well, what is all this? Oh, it's like, oh, you know, so now this past year, we don't have enough information, or we have enough information, but we just don't have exactly what two people were looking for from the Board of Finance. So I don't know. It's going to be made a lot easier for us, you know?
Right.
I think the
and
biggest
even
issue that
Steve
when I was
Hebert,
sitting down,
go ahead.
well, the biggest issue I had was that when they're talking about capital expenses and expenses, nobody had the same definition. You know, some people have a definition of anything's over $5,000 as capital. You know, in my department, I'm
Right.
saying anything's over 1,000 with a budget of so small, anything over 1,000 is really capital. The rest is kind of expenses. But then they said, well, you know, one set of gear should be capital. Well, that's not really, it's an expense I have every year. So we also need a set of guidelines on definitions of what people expect of capital and stuff like that.
Right. And then you're going to throw
I
debt
think
service in
I
there.
mean, we do. We have to sit
You
down
know,
and
I
have just sit down with them
Right,
and
the debt
discuss.
services, and
Right.
I got beat up quite a bit on how we write in what, you know, and again, it's in black and white, and capital expense to me is, it's gear, it's you know, a roof someday, a hot water tank someday. I mean, there's so many
Yeah.
places that you can go with capital expenses, especially with what we do. I mean, a truck is a capital expense.
Right.
How do you
No,
break
that's
it
debt
down, and
service.
how do you spell it out so that everybody's on the same page and everybody's interpreting the same way that we're presenting it?
Well, I figured a truck payment came out of my general fund, so that was an expense. But it's a debt service.
Right.
Yeah, they did the same to us. So we have the
Yeah.
$100,000 pack purchase this year, and
Yeah.
because we took a debt service out for it, the way that Steve made us put it on, Steve Hebert put it on. I mean, it was Greek to me when they were pushing numbers all around on the screen and make this say this and that say that. And well, okay, that's
Yeah.
fine if that's how you need it presented, but that's not how I was asked for. I was asked for my capital expenditures, and it was $100,000 purchase. So, yeah, clarification on how they want it delivered is definitely would be a big help. So we'd all be on the same page. So, like you said, Steve, I mean, when we go into these meetings, we have all the appropriate information, and when they ask questions, we're not like a deer in the headlights standing there like, where is this coming from? What do you want?
Exactly. It's stressful enough. It's stressful enough without being asked a question. You don't have the information and you didn't know that was coming, so yeah.
I think if we take the format and work
Any
with
other-
either the selectmen or Orla or, the Board of Finance, maybe in the fall to make sure that everybody's on the same page. So when we fill it out, there's not a lot of these questions hanging up in the air or how did you come up with this figure? I think that may be easier for all of us, but I think we need to do that maybe in the
Yeah.
fall and sit down with, do we start at the selectman's office and start with Orla at the same time and put that into
I don't know. Maybe we could just
format
ask
that-
Steve. Maybe we could just ask Steve if he'll sit in a meeting with us, and if Steve and
Yeah, it should be just a
you know,
discussion.
the five of us, and
Yeah.
then we just, and maybe Orla. Orla can take some notes, and then,
Right.
Steve's got a lot of information, and, I trust him.
Well, we can invite them to one of our
I think
meetings.
if we
and
sit
have
down-
all three of them sit down. And what is it?
Yeah,
The big thing with Steve is he's a numbers guy 100%. And when he was making adjustments, I mean, yeah, in the big picture, when it's all said and done, I understood what he did, but we didn't present it that way. Fundraising was one. I think we all put in a 0 because we don't expect any fundraising. You can't target a number to budget by. But he wanted us because we made 7,000 or whatever it was off of fundraising in years previous. He wanted that number to be there, but then he wanted it in an expense so that it created a wash. And yeah, I understand what he ended up with, but he didn't ask for that, or it wasn't presented that we were supposed to put it in that way. And that's where the struggle comes in. Like you said, I'm definitely not an accountant. I build houses.
right.
As long as their check clears, I'm a happy man. It's
I
going to
think we
be a
beat the
work
hell out
in
of
Any other
progress, though. I
questions or
mean, all of it right down the line.
I think we just have to make sure that we put that on our agenda, possibly, just have that sit down with our group. So it's not forgotten. I don't know when their down season is. Is it just right after the budget is accepted, or? I don't know when they have a downtime or anything, but guess I just ask Steve maybe. Say, hey, when can you do it? And
Yeah.
make sure we get it on our agenda.
Well, the downtime should be sooner
I
this
think
year
you're
than
right.
going 5 or 6 referendums.
Right?
Right.
It is whatever they say is accepted.
I would think that if we have that meeting with Orla and Steve, again, somebody brought it up, Orla can actually take notes and make those changes in that worksheet as we go forward. So that again, it'll make it more simplistic for us and better understandable on their part as well.
Right. And it may be better that we're doing a Zoom meeting because you could do it from the privacy of your own home, and Steve can have the palm trees in back of him again.
Every meeting, he got that backdrop up. I'm jealous.
I know. I don't have anything else.
Me either.
Yeah.
Okay. So next meeting, June 25th. I think is that the third? Actually, might be the fourth Thursday. I don't have a calendar in front of me.
June 25th?
And just to update you, Ron did not get sworn in yet. He said he would contact Marie to try and get that taken care of.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
The 18th, June 18th is the
okay, so
third
June
Thursday of the month.
June 18th.
1/8,
Okay, I was just
18th.
thinking that the 25th must be the 4th, right? Okay,
Correct.
so next meeting, Thursday, June 18th. Anything else?
At that
Motion
meeting,
to
I'll
adjourn?
try to have those. Just real quick, I'll try to have those approval letters, the universal approval letters for all the departments, and try to put together some sort of a letter for the when we go out to ask people to try to sit on the board as well, so that we can all take a look at those and maybe put that to bed as well.
Awesome, thank you.
Quick one for everybody. Do we want to start doing the officers meeting through like GoToMeetings or anything like that, or Zoom?
Does anybody have an account?
I have a GoToMeetings account.
We could do that, or we could just meet in a big parking lot and social distance, but yeah, I'd really like to get back into those.
I mean, June 1st, I think things are going to be opening at what is the difference after June 1st in Connecticut? I mean, we're going to be I'm going to start up my meetings pretty soon at the firehouse again.
Yeah, me too.
Possibly the June 1st one we're going to open up. So I think we're pretty close. So maybe the next later in June one, that the officers meeting we can have in person. And we just have to limit it. I mean, we
Yeah.
have to,
Okay.
Right.
So I believe the
Andrew,
governor's
maybe we also do
plan.
Zoom, so anybody that doesn't want to go.
I'm not sure what the first entails, but I know after the 20th, no, it might have been the first. You can hold meetings up or groups up to 50 people.
Right.
Let's see if I can find that again.
So then we can probably look at, what's that, June 4th is what we had scheduled for our next officers meeting.
Right. I have no problem with meeting. I personally don't like these Zoom meetings. They're awkward and kind of hard to deal with. So I would rather do meetings in person. I think now we're at a point where we could probably start doing that again. That's my feelings anyways.
I agree.
And again, to go along with everybody else, we're going to be opening up our meetings again. And we're going to start trainings again, just like we did. Obviously, we'll still practice the social distancing and, keep ourselves protected as much as possible. But I look at some of the events that we have, emergencies and so forth, and there's a good collection of all of us that have to be there for an emergency. And, we do the best we can with with keeping ourselves healthy and social distancing just to make it. But I think we need to, my personal feeling is we need to get back into just having regular meetings and go from there. Again, that's just my feelings. I don't know how everybody else feels.
Nope, I
I
agree.
definitely agree with that.
Yeah, the congregation of up to 50 people is after June 20th.
June 20th.
Yeah, we have to, we really got to go by the governor's directives,
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's according to the press release, it's 50 people or less after phase 2, which starts June 20th.
Okay. All right, then look at it for July, I suppose.
All right, I got to go.
All right, I make a
I have a
motion to
call.
adjourn.
All right. Take,
All right.
I'll second it.
Aye.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
You too.
You too.